Hey guys, welcome to At Home Fitness with Coach A, the YouTube channel that aims to bring you guys in gym quality coaching and workouts for your at home or garage gym needs. Today is number 206 of our At Home Fitness programming series. It is Wednesday, October 7th here in beautiful Cleveland, Ohio, and we have two pieces for today's programming. The first one is going to be a continuation of one of our new strength pieces, and that is going to be 3 to 5 rounds of 6 to 12 each side bird dog rows, ideally performing these with the dumbbells. And as I said, this is a continuation, so we're looking to make some progression over the previous weeks. Now, when we're talking about this progression, I either want you guys to increase the sets, I want you to increase the reps, I want you, if there was weight here, to possibly increase the weight. I do not want you to decrease this rest, okay? Let's keep the rest steady and standard as it is. Whatever you've been rolling with, continue rolling with it, or feel free to increase it up to potentially 45 seconds in between the right arm, the left arm, back to the right arm again. So that is an even rest both sides, not just necessarily one, the other, and then a rest. And keep working up, trying to get stronger and more stable. Our workout piece for today is going to be a 12-minute AMRAP. You guys are going to hit 10 deadlifts at 185, 125. Now, that 185, 125 should be something probably in the body weight, maybe a little bit under realm. It should also be a weight that you can do 10 reps unbroken of pretty consistently all the way through, or if not, almost all the way through, pretty close to, the entirety of the 12-minute AMRAP. So we're probably looking at maybe at least 5 rounds of 10 unbroken deadlifts here. So if we can't do that with the 185, 125, let's bring those weights down a little bit. Now, second movement here is going to be 5 burpee pull-ups. I'll demonstrate these in a bit, but keep in mind, I want you to be jumping through these pull-ups coming out of that burpee, not necessarily jumping up and kipping or jumping up and strict pulling. The last piece here, you guys have an option. The reps are 10. The movement's either going to be a ball slam, so slamming a ball down onto the ground, 10 reps, in which case I want you to focus on power into the floor, slam it hard, even if that means you have to take a breath and hesitate to come back up and your cycle rate becomes slower. That's fine. Or we can do 10 total, 5 and 5, right, left, lateral tosses into the wall. That's going to be a rotational movement, and again, I'll demonstrate that in a second, but basically you guys have an option. Whichever one you do pick, I want you to continue with, though, for the entirety of the workout. Stick around for those demonstrations and movement modifications. All right, guys, we're on the next week of our bird dog row strength mini cycle here. And again, the goal, as it always is for these little mini cycles, is to make a progression, whether that is a quality progression, an increase in the number of reps, or an increase in the amount of weight with the same measure of quality. Remember, your rest in between each piece is 30 to 45 seconds. Focus on lowering that weight down and not dropping it. For the workout today, we're looking at that 12-minute AMRAP. We're going to, as the clock hits here, start with 10 deadlifts. Weight is set for the barbell at 185, 125, guys and girls. That is somewhere under body weight. Theoretically speaking, we're probably under even 50% of our 1 rep max here. So this shouldn't be a very difficult set of 10. This should be a continuous set of 10 that we're able to pretty much rep out every time we get back to the bar in this 12 minutes. Once we complete that, we head over to our pull-up bar for our 5 burpee pull-ups. Remember, we're looking for a smooth sequenced motion going from the burpee jumping position all the way through the top of that pull. The goal is trying not to disrupt the flow of energy and motion. So as you guys are going through the pull itself, we shouldn't slow down and we shouldn't necessarily accelerate either, because that's going to allow us to do this movement without a big jump. Now, that third movement, you guys have options. One of the options I'm going to do here first for 5 reps is going to be a ball slam. Focusing on power. So I'm not necessarily trying to cycle through these as fast as possible. I'm using my hips, I'm using my core, and I'm using my lats to slam that ball down with energy and purpose into the floor. The other option is going to be our lateral ball toss at the wall. Roll back, rotate, and then rotate through, release that ball off the hip, off the pocket, so the power is coming from the hips. Stay tuned for movement modifications. Through our modifications here, the first one I want to talk about is going to be this bird dog row. So obviously you guys can use plates, you can use kettlebells, pretty much anything as a weight, a backpack, a weight vest instead of a dumbbell. You can even, if you really want to, try and hold an empty barbell and control it that way. Obviously there's going to be a lot more challenge for the forearms and the grip there in terms of being able to stabilize and control that. One of the other sneaky little things you can do on this is use a band. Now, you're probably going to need a bench or something similar that you can strap the band under if we're going to try and utilize this. So maybe it ends up being something we hook the band under one of the feet, and then we can go into our bird dog rowing position with the band that way. Depending on the setup of your band, you can always strap it around and maybe hook it on the wrist of the hand that's down on that bench. But there are some options there for doing that. One of the other things we can do, it's not going to be exactly the same, but it's going to be very similar and get a very similar effect. One of my favorite things instead of our plank rows is taking the band, hooking it onto something. I'm going to show you on the bench here so you guys can actually see the position. I'm going to get myself into that side plank, and I'm going to row while holding that side plank. Okay. And then finally, one of the last skills I would say for this would be actually that plank position dumbbell row. In which case, since we're going for sets, since we're going for reps, let's just keep it on the one side, finish them all before we're switching sides there. Now, let's get this bench out of the way. All right, so for the dumbbell snatches, kettlebells, obviously not a big deal. We're just switching them out. It's going to be a quick and intense AMRAP slash Metcon, so it doesn't make that much of a difference. We're going to be pushing either way. If we need to make a transition and go to our barbell, I want you guys to keep this super light, especially if we're going to take that bar down to the ground and muscle snatch or down to the ground and power snatch. Otherwise, let's stay with the hang position and work our way through from there. Remember to keep in mind, you guys can always adapt something like that with a band if you are comfortable driving the hips and punching up overhead, or maybe doing our good mornings and then our behind the head press, doubling up the reps to try and get the even number there. On that second one, the tuck crunch, I would say the easiest modification here is just to go straight to a sit-up or an AMRAP sit-up. That's going to keep it simplistic enough that you guys are going to be able to keep pushing without having a high comprehension for the movement. Third piece, double unders. I would again keep this as simple as possible. So we're either going to go with single unders on the jump rope or jumping jacks that I'm working through from there, mostly because I want to see those arms moving. I want to see you guys using your shoulders at least a little bit to create some of the fatigue there to go back into those snatches on the turn. Hey guys, let's talk about modifications for today's stuff, specifically that second part, the workout. So on those deadlifts, if we have our barbell but we don't have enough weight to get up to something that's challenging for that set of 10, we have a couple options here. One, you guys can stay with the bar and increase the rep range, right? Increase it to something that builds up a little bit of a burn in the hamstrings, makes you work a little harder. Or take that full deadlift and turn it into an RDL, so that we're hitting those hamstrings a little bit harder and getting a little more out of it. If you don't have the bar, we can pretty much do the same kind of stuff with dumbbells, whether it's touching the ground, whether it's pushing into that RDL position, and then same thing with the kettlebell, whether we're making it more of a sumo touching the ground, or again, hinging into the RDL position. If we're looking at just the band here, right, we can always take the band, loop it under the feet, lift from there, or take it, loop it under the feet, put it over the traps, and do a banded good morning. So that takes care of our hinge. On the burpee pull-up, if we don't have something Burpee's fine. We can always do the burpee. I'm not really concerned about that. If we don't have something to do that pull-up on, then I want you to try and turn it into a jump and touch. So I have rafters here. I go down, I do my burpee. I jump up and I try and smack the rafters, right? It could be a door jam or door header. It could be whatever you want it to be, as long as it's something you do have to jump for, put the arms up and reach overhead. So obviously we're missing the pulling part of the piece there, but that's fine as long as we're getting through that burpee and we're getting full extension as we work up. Now, that last piece, the ball slam or ball rotation. Right, so the idea here is core pieces, either a powerful contraction or a powerful rotation. Again, pick one, stick with it. Doesn't matter to me which one it is, but there is different ways we can do this. So right off the bat, we're looking at possibly a tuck crunch for the ball slam, or maybe a V-up, something along those lines. If we have a band, we can always take that band, loop it over the bar. I'm going to turn around here, so I'm not really going to be able to do this, but I want you guys to be able to see it and theoretically drive down and kind of pull on that band, getting that core traction and that lat sweep going down, similar to what you would look like possibly using a skier, just not necessarily with the speed working through those reps. Okay. Now, the rotation can basically just be a Russian twist, in which case we don't have to go each side, so to speak, because you're rotating back and forth. Or I can take the band, anchor it onto something, and rotate with it. All right, if I'm going to rotate that way with the band, I don't want you guys to fly through because you're probably going to put a lot of hip in there. Instead, find your position, keep your elbows nice and engaged against your ribs, rotate through the hips a little bit, maybe turn that back foot a little bit, but you don't have to go very far to get that lateral rotation. All right, so we have our deadlift, we have our burpee pull-up, and our core piece modifications.